Hi everybody, welcome back to the Chasing Psychological Safety video series. So today we wanted to continue the conversation about how resilience is really becoming one of the key topics and factors that are going to make us successful and help us build psychological safety in the next 6 to 12 months. So what we're really seeing and noticing and hearing from the people that we're talking to and working with at the moment is that we're in, people are talking about the second wave of the pandemic. How about the second wave of the resilience that we're going to need to really maximize the opportunity that has been provided to us? So this is a once in a lifetime opportunity in many ways that has been provided to us. But what's actually happening in reality for people is that they are really still in a place of anxiety and stress and worry. And that applies to everybody, to individuals, to HR, to the teams that we're working with, to the leaders that we're talking to. And what we're looking to say to you today is that what we need to work on is the resilience for all of those people so that we can answer, so that they can work through all of those questions like, what's going to happen with the economy? What's going to happen with the second wave of the pandemic? Am I going to lose my job? Am I going to find a new job? Those are the things that are worrying people at the moment. What we need to do now is build the resilience to help those people move through this next phase of everything that's affecting us at the moment, everything that's creating difficulty in our lives, and find the future, find the flexible future that we're all looking for. So we really wanted to talk to you about what we're seeing out there and give you some ideas as well.
Exactly. So some of the things we've noticed work out well is when we manage to extrapolate job titles and industries and find the common denominators between all of our experiences and the way we are going through this period together with a shared reality. And one of the things that we've noticed works is if we were to focus on a few fundamentals, and those fundamentals work for every of the categories that Fionn has earlier mentioned, then we would be more finding it more easy to kind of rally behind them. And the fundamentals I'm talking about are, if we find a way to, number one, focus on teams, number two, obsess about psychological safety, of course, number three, make sure that we do team relaunches at every level. And then lastly, that we do some serious questioning and measurement of what outcomes are and what our work really means. If we do those four things, so essentially focus on teams, obsess about psychological safety, relaunch your teams, and then question everything and measure everything, then those things we can rally behind, whether we are HR and can roll them out, or we are leadership and can mandate that they be rolled out, or we aren't executives any which way, but we can suggest them and bring them and propose them and wonder about them together. So it doesn't need to come from the CEO. If it does, it's even better, but it does need that we all comprehend their importance, and in particular when it comes to the idea of teams and having a healthy dynamic in them is going to be crucial and make or break us in the future. We feel like that's something that we can all get ourselves behind.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the really important positive messages here is that if we do these things, if we build the resilience in our teams, if we can find that place of resilience and then take it a step further into looking at long-term engagement and happiness and those qualities that really create sustainable teams and sustainable cultures, what we can do, what would be the fantastic opportunity is to challenge what's come before and take the opportunity to create a new, exciting future that allows many of us to work in ways that we've only ever dreamed of, but at the same time to not only retain productive teams, but to create teams that are even more productive and engaged than they ever were before. So I think some of the things that we have been thinking about and seeing in some of the really kind of on the ball organizations are in that effort to move beyond resilience. So you've got the resilience, you create the resilient team, and now you're really looking to push things forward into the future. So move through this second wave to create a new and exciting future is to look at some of the language that you're using, challenge the language that you're using, move away from the kind of corporate speak, lose some of that fear around language, and use plain, simple, straight to the point language in your conversations with people. It really helps to cut through some of the corporate fluffiness that we see every day in the workplace. To be brave. So we still need everybody to be brave at the moment. And we know it's taking up a lot of energy, just sometimes getting out of bed and doing your work and looking after the kids and your loved ones, and you know, trying not to worry about the future. But if we can together as teams find that bravery, then we can really push through some of the challenges that we're seeing and get to that gold that's on the other side at the moment. That gold's only going to be there this one time, so we need to take the opportunity to pick that up now. And the last one is to challenge the status quo. You know, we've talked lots of times, and I've, you know, both together and individually, about how what we don't want to do now is just try and pick up what we had before and lift and shift that into the flexible working environment and the new digitally enabled environment, but to actually challenge the way that we do things, redesign the way that we do things, so that it really suits us, it suits our teams, it suits the human beings, the individual set of human beings that you've got in your teams and your organizations. If you can find the energy within you to challenge that, there really is some gold on the other side of that.
So we know this is not necessarily the most positive of messages. We've put our hands up and said this all along. More work is needed. We aren't done. We aren't anywhere close to being done. There's a lot that needs deep work, and that's not because of the pandemic only. It's because we've entered the pandemic with a certain amount of what we call human debt. So we were already not doing the correct things regarding our employees and our teams before we entered this time of crisis. So obviously in a time of crisis, they're only getting worse. So some of the things we're saying are, yes, there's a focus on resilience. Of course, that's needed, but more sustainably and long term, if we want performance, we need to give people happiness. We need to give people engagement. We need to give them opportunities to learn, opportunities to speak up. We wrap all those under the umbrella of psychological safety. We think of resilience as a component of psychological safety. I know there's some ideological discussion around whether it's chicken and egg with psychological safety in terms of resilience. And we do think of engagement or morale, and we measure it as one of the components in our software as well. But they aren't the only ones. We also look at how flexible people are, at whether or not they're learning together, and how courageous they are, and how willing to speak up. And all of those things together are what is going to give you performance in teams. If you don't have performance in teams, it's very unlikely you're going to be able to make it through this period. Realistically, the ones that are best positioned to be winners are what we call digitally native companies, who have been doing this focus on people very seriously for many years. But it isn't too late for anyone to turn it around, become as agile as their mindset allows, and as people focused as agile needs. And so one of the things that we can do to help is, and what we have been doing to help, is ending at the end of August, which is we offered 2 months free of license for anyone wanting to measure and start working on their psychological safety. That's still there. Get in touch with us. We would love to help your team as well. So let's see what we can do in the time that we have remaining. Let's hope we don't enter any other crisis. Let's hope we become serious about these topics, and we make, as Fionn said, a go for the gold at the end of it. And we'll talk to you again next week. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.